The wind howled across the plains. It carried the scent of rain and the distant rumble of thunder. It was a fitting prelude to the storm brewing, one far more ominous than any natural tempest. The human kingdoms, ever at odds, had carved a fragile peace from the scarred lands. Yet beneath the surface of their fragile alliances and petty squabbles, a shared fear lingered. The abyss watched. The abyss, a scar upon the world, a gaping maw of darkness that yawned deep into the earth. Legend spoke of its creation, a wound inflicted during the ancient battle against the demon lords. These monstrous beings, embodiments of chaos and destruction, were banished to the abyss, their power sealed within its depths. For generations, the abyss had been nothing more than a chilling tale whispered around campfires, a grim reminder of the darkness that lay at the heart of the world. But the whispers were changing. The abyss was stirring. The village of Ashwood was small, insignificant. It nestled among the foothills of the Spine Mountains, far from the concerns of kings and conquerors. Its people were simple folk, eking out a living from the land. They were the first to learn that ancient legends were more than mere stories. It began subtly. Hunters returned with tales of twisted creatures, their forms warped and wrong, lurking in the nearby woods. Livestock vanished in the night, leaving behind only the echo of terrified bleating. Then came the nightmares. Vivid, horrifying visions that plagued the villagers' sleep, whispers of ancient evils and promises of unimaginable pain. Fear turned to panic. Desperate pleas for help were sent to the nearest kingdom. The messengers returned with a handful of weary soldiers, their faces grim. They spoke of a darkness spreading from the abyss, a creeping terror that chilled even their hardened hearts. The abyss was no longer a legend, it was a threat. News of Ashwood's plight spread like wildfire across the kingdoms. Fear, a potent unifier, began to bridge the divides between warring nations. A sense of desperate urgency settled over the land. If the abyss was not contained, all would be lost. From the highest king to the lowliest peasant, a single question echoed. What could be done? The answer, whispered by scholars and confirmed by the desperate pleas of refugees fleeing the spreading darkness, was both a terrifying prospect and a glimmer of hope. A coalition must be formed. Not since the ancient war against the demon lords had such a force been assembled. Kings reluctantly pledged their finest warriors. Mages, their powers rarely united for a common cause, answered the summons. Scholars, their knowledge sought after as much as any blade, emerged from their secluded towers, scrolls clutched tightly in their hands. The fate of the world rested on their shoulders, their destination, the abyss itself. The journey to the abyss was fraught with peril. The closer they drew to the corrupted chasm, the more twisted and hostile the land became. Creatures of nightmare, their flesh warped by the abyss's influence, stalked their path. The very air grew heavy, thick with a sense of dread that pressed down on their souls. Internal struggles plagued the coalition as well. Old rivalries, fueled by centuries of bloodshed and mistrust, flared anew. Knights clashed with knights, their oaths of unity forgotten in the heat of the moment. Mages eyed each other with suspicion, their powers a dangerous dance of ambition and fear. Sir Kael, a knight bearing the scars of countless battles, found himself thrust into the heart of the conflict. Haunted by a past he desperately sought to atone for, he carried the weight of his kingdom's hope on his shoulders. His only solace was in the quiet wisdom of Lyra, a young mage whose connection to the abyss ran deeper than anyone suspected. Section 5. Echoes of Prophecy. Lyra. Her youth belied the ancient power that thrummed within her veins. She was plagued by visions, terrifying glimpses into the abyss's depths. She saw the demon lords, their forms shifting and monstrous, their laughter echoing with the promise of annihilation. Her visions were not mere premonitions, they were echoes of an ancient prophecy. The prophecy, passed down through generations of her family, spoke of a time when the seals of the abyss would weaken. It foretold the return of the demon lords, their reign of terror unleashed upon the world once more. But the prophecy offered a glimmer of hope as well. It spoke of a chosen few bound by destiny who would rise to face the darkness, a coalition united against a common enemy. As Lyra shared the prophecy with the others, a sense of grim purpose settled over the coalition. Their journey was no longer merely a desperate gamble. It was the fulfillment of an ancient destiny. The weight of the world, the hopes of countless generations rested upon their shoulders. The air crackled with an unnatural energy as they finally reached the edge of the abyss. It was a gaping wound in the earth, its edges jagged and raw. The air itself seemed to writhe, as if in pain, and the stench of sulfur and decay assaulted their nostrils. The descent was harrowing. The path, little more than a treacherous goat track, wound its way down the chasm walls. They were beset by creatures of nightmare, their forms twisted by the abyss's influence, their eyes burning with a malevolent hunger. Each step forward was a testament to their courage, a victory wrenched from the jaws of despair. Lyra, guided by her visions and the whispers of the abyss itself, led them onward. Her magic, fueled by the very darkness they fought against, blazed bright against the encroaching shadows. She was their beacon, their only hope in the heart of that desolate wasteland. The heart of the abyss, a realm of twisted metal and jagged obsidian lit by the baleful glow of the imprisoned demon lords. Their power pulsed within this unholy cathedral, a symphony of chaos and destruction that threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality. The demon lords, once mighty beings of terrifying power, were now monstrous parodies of their former selves. Twisted and corrupted by their imprisonment, they seethed with an endless hunger for vengeance. Their eyes, burning with malevolent glee, turned to the coalition, relishing the fear that they tasted in their souls. The battle was joined. Steel clashed against claws, the clash of blades echoing throughout the chamber. Magic, raw and untamed, blazed across the battlefield, searing the air with its power. But for every demon slain, another seemed to rise in its place. The tide of battle, despite moments of desperate heroism, was turning against them. It was then that Sir Kyle, his face etched with grim determination, stepped forward. He had seen a vision, a terrible glimpse into the future, granted to him by Lyra's magic. He knew what he had to do. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the chamber, he charged toward the largest of the demon lords, his blade a beacon of defiance in the heart of that desolate realm. Lyra watched in horror as Sir Kyle, his body a tapestry of wounds, fought his way to the heart of the enemy. She felt his life force fading, his spirit flickering like a candle in the wind. Her visions swirled, revealing the terrible truth. The prophecy spoke not only of a coalition, but of a sacrifice, a life offered to fuel the magic, to seal the abyss once more. Grief threatened to consume her, but Lyra knew what she had to do. She was the conduit, the vessel through which the ancient magic flowed. Gathering her strength, she focused her will, channeling the chaotic energies of the abyss into a single, blinding point of light. Sir Kyle, with his dying breath, struck true. His blade, imbued with the essence of his sacrifice, pierced the heart of the largest demon lord. A shockwave of energy ripped through the chamber, throwing the remaining coalition members to the ground. The abyss roared in defiance, its power surging against the seal, but it was too late. Sir Kyle's sacrifice, fueled by Lyra's magic and the fading echoes of the ancient pact, was enough. The chasm shuddered, the air growing thick with the fading essence of the demon lords as they were dragged back into their prison. One by one, the chains that bound them tightened, glowing with a malevolent red light, reforged by the sacrifice that had been made. Silence descended upon the abyss. A heavy, oppressive silence, broken only by the ragged gasps of the surviving coalition members. The air, once thick with the stench of decay and sulfur, was now clear, the only scent the metallic tang of blood. They had won, but at what cost? Lyra, her body drained but her spirit unbroken, gazed into the depths of the chasm. The abyss was silent now, its malevolent energy contained, yet deep within its heart she could still feel it. A flicker of darkness, a promise of vengeance yet to come, the seals held for now. But the prophecy had warned of a time when the abyss would stir once more, a time when the world would once again be called upon to face the darkness within its heart. The Abyss War was over, but the true battle, the endless struggle against the shadows that lurked within and without, had only just begun. The world bore the scars of its close brush with annihilation, and the memory of those lost would forever linger in the hearts of those who had fought and survived. The abyss waited, and so did they.